Chief Executive, Campaign for Human Rights and Development International.
Felicia Antonio, Keep It On Campaign Manager at Access Now. And Abdul's organization, Campaign for Human Rights and Development International, is hosting this stakeholder dialogue as well as training Freetown to equip stakeholders with skills on issues of internet shutdowns and how they can contribute to push back against shutdowns as they contribute to the whole responsibility. Okay, so now we're going to have a round of introduction of all the participants in the room so that our trainers can see who is here, and then we dive into the conversation.
Perfect. So hi everyone again. My name is Elisaveta. I'm from UNI. UNI was created back in 2012 as part of the TOR project to monitor internet censorship, to understand when censorship happens, and to investigate how exactly different websites and services are being blocked. Since 2012, we collected more than 1 billion measurements from different countries across the world and developed a lot of tools which can be used both to monitor internet censorship and to investigate and research and report on censorship. When we are talking about internet censorship, we're talking about intentional control of what can be accessed on the internet. There are different types of censorship. Not all of them we at UNI can monitor and can track and document. For example, we do not document censorship on social media platforms. We cannot track online trolling. And of course, we cannot track self-censorship, because like self-censorship happens when you decide yourself that you won't publish any content, and no one can automatically find or discover the fact that you decided not to post something. At the same time, we do track censorship at the network level. So we track shutdowns and we can see if the connection is slowing down. So for example, if you can access some websites, but they're working so bad that you cannot use them. So for example, in many countries, we've seen specific services of Facebook being throttled when people couldn't live stream or couldn't upload videos or photos to the platform. And that affected the way that different events during the protests, for example, were documented. What else we can track and monitor through UNI and with UNI tools is blocking of the different websites and of several applications. When we're talking about censorship, it's important to understand how exactly it is being implemented. And usually censorship is implemented by the same organizations who provide you network connection. So technically, the internet service providers who provide you with the connection and your traffic, they implement censorship. At the same time, they are not the ones who, they're usually not the ones who take the decision to censor something. And usually this decision is done by government, and it can be transparent or not very transparent. In case of more or less transparent decision to block different content or websites or services, there will be some legislative act, which will be saying that there is a list of URLs and or there is a list of services which need to be blocked for some time because there is a legislation or there is a law and they are not compliant with this law. Here on the screen, if you can see it, is a scan of such paper produced by Indian government, Indian Department of Telecommunications, which is basically a list of URLs, which the department asks internet service providers to block. in the country, and there is some explanation why exactly this list of URLs should be blocked. From the user's perspective, the blockings can look differently. And in case if the censorship is more or less transparent, you will see an image like this one, maybe less playful, but still there will be an information that access is restricted or denied. And there will be an explanation why exactly the website is being censored. So here it's written based on regulation of the Minister of Communication and Information. And that means that this ministry took a decision to block this website because of this regulation. Unfortunately, in most countries and in most cases, censorship is not transparent, and most users would see something like this. And it will be just a browser error which will be saying that the website can't be reached, or there is a timeout error, or there is a connection reset. And usually it's not possible to understand from this screen if it's censorship or if it's some technical issue, like the connection issue or some issue with on the side of the website or something else. And UNI's role and role of internet network measurement projects in this case is to understand what exactly is happening and why you as a user cannot reach this website. UNI is one of the tools which allows to understand why different types of websites are not accessible. There are also several other tools. I will share the presentation with you through Felicia, and there will be some other tools which you can look into and check their data and their methodology as well. UniProbe is our application, which is super user-friendly, and you can install it both on your phone or on your laptop. And you can find it on Google Play or Apple Store or F-Droid if you want to install it. And I would encourage you to do this right now if you have a connection and capacity to do so. UniProbe is an open source app. If you have some technical background, you can go to our GitHub. There is a link here and check how it works. In general, what it does, it tests websites, it tests messaging apps, namely WhatsApp, Signal, Facebook Messenger, and Telegram. And which is also, I guess, can be important in our case, it tests Tor and Siphon VPN to understand if they work or not. And also there are two more tests which are in general important, but I guess can be less important in the context of elections. You can test detection of middle boxes to understand if there is something affecting your connection, and check the speed and performance of your network in general to understand, for example, if you cannot access some Facebook services, if it's throttling when the provider tries to slow down the connection to specific services of Facebook, or it's just general network issues and your connection is very slow in general. An important thing to say about how UniProbe tests websites, it doesn't test all the websites in the world because it would take enormous amount of time and data. It tests specific test lists, and there are two types of these test lists. One is global test list, which includes internationally relevant websites such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Wikipedia, major international media outlets like BBC or Al Jazeera. And there are country-specific test lists. These test lists include only websites relevant for some specific country. So, for example, the test list for Sierra Leone would include some local media, local human rights organizations, local political parties, maybe some local bloggers, and so on. An issue with the test lists that they are mainly supported by our community. So sometimes they can be outdated, meaning that if there wasn't any active community member who would take a deep look into them and take some effort to update them, then sometimes some of these test lists can, some country-specific test lists can be outdated because they were not updated for 2-3 years. But in general, we do our best to update them as soon as possible, as often as possible. If you would want to contribute any websites to Sierra Leone's test list, you can use this link, which is here, testlist.oni.org, and submit any websites you want to add for testing. Here, this is how the test list editor looks like. I hope that you can see it now on the screen. You're basically, it's also very easy to use. You just paste the URL you want to add here, select a category of the website, like there will be news media, human rights organizations, and so on, and add some note if you want to clarify why exactly do you want to add this website. First rule and rule of thumb for using UniProbe, if you want to test your local network, please turn off VPN while using UniProbe, because otherwise you will be testing the network in some other country through which your VPN connects you to the internet, instead of testing your own local network. So when you're using UniProbe, please remember turning off your VPN. Another second rule, when you use UniProbe, ideally we ask everyone to turn on automated testing. It allows you to run tests in the background instead of opening your app, tapping run button, or launching specific tests. In this case, if you turn on the setting, the UniProbe will run the tests automatically, and we will receive more measurements. And it's very important for us to receive more measurements, because for us, it's very important to understand when exactly the censorship happened and how long did it last. And for example, if we receive only one test of some local media website, one test per day, we cannot for sure say that this website was blocked. Ideally, we need at least several measurements per website, and ideally we need them from different days and different networks. So it's very hard to connect a lot of measurements if you are running tests manually. And we are asking people to, and all our users, to use automated testing if it's possible. There are settings to run tests like this background tests only on Wi-Fi and only while charging, to save your broadband and mobile traffic and to save your battery. Please feel free to use these, but still, if you have an opportunity to run this test automatically and turn off your VPN overnight when your phone is connected to Wi-Fi, that would be amazing, and that would help us a lot. In general, I think UniProbe is super user-friendly. So once you open the app, once you download it and open it, you will see multiple buttons pertaining to different tests. And if you click on separate button, you will open a test like of websites, of messengers, of circumvention tools, and then you can click run and the test will start. There is a limit of 90 seconds for the test, so for the websites test. So if you click run here, it will just test as many websites as possible during the 90 seconds. You can extend this limit in settings, but by default, it's 90 seconds to avoid overloading your traffic. Also, if you think that there are some specific websites which are being targeted, please feel free to run tests focused on these specific websites. For example, you can click choose websites and then paste here Facebook, Twitter, or some local media or human rights or political websites. click run, and then the app will test only the websites that you pasted here. If there is a long list of websites which you think are being blocked right now, you can compile this list in Unirun. It's also pretty easy. You just create a list of websites in some text editor and then copy paste it here, and it will automatically make a list of URLs. You click generate, and there will be a URL which you can share with any UniProbe mobile user, and then people can test this list of websites on their networks or in their cities, and collect more measurements pertaining to these specific websites which you think are being blocked. Once you run some tests, you will see the results. You will see them both in your app and on our Uni Explorer, which I will cover a bit later. There are 3 colors mainly, green, red, and orange. Green means that the website is accessible. Red means that we can automatically confirm the blocking, and it means that we do not need many more measurements to confirm the blocking. And there is orange. Orange means that something is wrong. So the website wasn't accessible, but at the same time, we cannot really understand from one measurement what exactly was wrong. And we need to check more data and other measurements to see if there is some pattern and to understand what exactly is happening. Uni Explorer is a portal with all the data which we collected during past 10 years. There is a search tool and math. In search tool, you can see each individual measurement, and you can filter them as you can filter there all measurements, all anomaly measurements, which are orange, which mean that something is wrong and the website is not accessible, but we do not really know why. And in math, you can see in general the charts with all measurements. And here you will see if there is a peak in anomalies or in confirmed blocks. And if there is one, you would be able to say that something is going wrong, to check which websites are resulting in anomalies, and then maybe run some tests or reach out to us to ask why these anomalies are happening and what exactly is happening there. So short list of next steps for the last 2 minutes. Please install UniProbe on one of your devices, turn on their automated testing and set up automated testing only while charging or only on Wi-Fi, whatever is comfortable for you. Don't forget to turn off VPN for at least a few hours per day, for example, at night. And share with us if you see any signs of censorship, if you see some anomalies happening to the websites which were previously accessible, if you see something which you think may be wrong, or if you have any questions at all about what's happening and why do you receive different results. Here are most of the links that you may need. And please feel free to join our Slack community, and we are always online there, and while our team is there, so please feel free to reach out and ask us any questions. I hope you were able to hear me. And yeah, thank you for an opportunity to tell you about it.
Yes, we had everything you said. So thank you, and hopefully the connection will stay on. Over to you, Sage.
Thank you, Felicia, and thank you, Elisaveta, for the awesome introduction to the UniProbe and very detailed instructions. Just also want to make sure that everybody knows that all the presentations can be available right after this training as well. So please feel free to reach out to us, the organizers, for the presentations. And the next would be Gus from Tor. Gus, hand it over to you.
Okay, I will talk about the Tor and how we can use Tor
to bypass censorship. So what we have for today, how to install Tor browser, what to do when Tor is blocked, and what are other apps that you can use Tor, and how to get help, because this is important, because when your Tor is not working, you will probably want to contact us. So what is Tor? Is a free software, is a software that you can download and you can use, and you don't need to pay to use. It's also an open network. You can use, others can contribute to this network. And the main reason to use Tor, the main motivation, is to mitigate against surveillance and online censorship. And Tor is an organization based in the US, but we have volunteers from all over the world. And how do you spell Tor? Is just one cap and not all capitalized words. Letters. And why do we need Tor? We need Tor to resist government mass surveillance and target government mass and target surveillance, to circulate and bypass internet censorship. So when the government blocks a website or blocks online servers, you can start to bypass internet censorship. And how internet censorship works? So basically, Elisaveta was talking about UNI, and UNI is very important to understand how censorship works. There are different ways censors can block a web page. And just graphic here, you can see your internet provider can block this website from the example. And usually people think, oh yeah, I can use a VPN to bypass that. And this is true. A VPN can bypass the internet censorship. So you can see that your internet provider doesn't know that you're using, you're visiting Electoral Fraud Foundation website, this website here, but they know that the VPN knows that you are connecting to that website. Now, what's the difference between Tor and the VPN? So Tor is a decentralized network that you can connect to that network, and that network will visit that website, basically. So then the Tor network is different from the VPN, because one, you have decentralization. The Tor network doesn't know who you are and what you are doing. And two, it's totally free. You don't need to pay to use the Tor network. The Tor network is composed of 6,000 servers, of volunteers around the world, and they are happy to contribute with this internet freedom community. So when you are using Tor, you get privacy plus anonymity plus censorship circumvention automatically, because the servers are spread all around the world. They are not just in one country. They are not just in US. They are not just in Germany. They are spread all over the world. So how can I use Tor? So the first way to use Tor is just downloading this app called Tor browser. And you can download Tor browser from our website, and I will show you later. But basically, the benefit of Tor browser is that everything that you do on this browser automatically bypass the censorship. So let's say the government blocked Facebook or Twitter or another online servers in your country. You can just download Tor browser, open that website that you need to visit, and that's it. So it's very easy to use Tor browser. It's like Firefox, but with security, with some security improvements. And there are some benefits on using Tor browser. One, anyone snooping can see the website that you are visiting. So if there are someone surveilling you or trying to spy what you are doing, they cannot see what you are doing. Second, websites can track you or see other websites that you visit. So for example, if you have two tabs open in your Firefox or Chrome, sometimes you make a search for shoes in one tab. And then if you move to the other tab on Instagram, for example, you're going to see ads about shoes. But if you're using Tor browser, this won't happen. So we have all these privacy features inside Tor browser that make not just more private, but also uncensorable. Like you can use Tor to bypass censorship. So if Instagram is blocked in a country, you can use Tor browser to unblock. And how you can download Tor browser? The safest way is to download from our website, torproject.org. But sometimes what the governments do, they block our website. So you have some options here. The first option is to download from our mirrors, which is basically a copy of our website managed by a nonprofit that we trust. For example, you can visit tor.eff.org or tor.calixinstitute.org. They are both good nonprofits that are hosting the Tor mirror website. But let's say that they also block the mirrors, then you can download Tor browser from our Telegram bot. You just need to send a message to get Tor _bot, and then you can download Tor browser. So, and if Telegram is not working, you can send email to us, gettor@torproject.org, and we will send basically a Google Drive link with Tor browser for you. So there are all these different ways to bypass censorship against our main domain. And then when you install Tor browser, it's very simple. You just need to extract and double click basically, and then you run the Tor browser. And then if everything is fine, you just need to connect and it will work. But sometimes you will need to do some extra steps. But if you don't need this to do these extra steps, like you can just use Tor browser, like you download, install, and you can bypass censorship. But sometimes what the government do, they also block the Tor network. And in that case, what's going to happen is that when you open the connection settings on Tor browser, you can see that the government is blocking the Tor network. Like you can see, like on the screen, you would see like the connection is failed for some reason. So what we can do to bypass the censorship, and the censorship is common in some scenarios, like during some elections, sometimes they block part of the Tor network, or in some countries during protests, they also block part of the Tor network. What you can do, you can use something called bridges, which is basically a way to connect to Tor in a very secret way, in a very private way. And one thing that we did recently is that you can use automatically bridges. So how this works, basically on Tor browser, now we have this feature called connection assist, which will try to detect if Tor is blocked in your country. And if your connection fails, it will try to use a bridge automatically. Or if it try to connect you automatically, it doesn't work, it will ask you to select a country, like Sierra Leone, for example, and then we use a pre-configured option to use a bridge. So you don't need to, what I'm saying basically is that you don't need to configure manually, but we also have this option. And I'm going to teach very quickly what is this option. Okay, so we can be prepared for if your government blocks the Tor network in the next days. So the first option here, you have the connection assist working. It will try to connect. So here is, you click on connect, it's going to establish a connection. This didn't work. Then you try a bridge, and then you connect to the Tor network. So it's very easy. You don't need to input anything. You just need to click some buttons and it will work. But let's say that this process didn't work. Then we have an option to get a bridge manually. So you need to go to the bridge.torproject.org website, or you need to request a bridge from our website, or get a bridge from our Telegram channel, and then copy and paste on Tor browser. So here is how you can do that. Instead of clicking connect, you click on configure connection, and then you have these options here to request a bridge, or to add a bridge manually. So here we could add a bridge manually. And it will look like this, like a bridge card. When you have a bridge and it's working, is going to say that's connected. And very quickly, we have some other apps for mobile. We have Tor browser for Android, and you can download from Google Play Store. You just need to type Tor browser for Android. For iOS, we have another app developed by the Guardian project called Onion Browser. Be very careful that there are a lot of fake Tor browsers available for iOS. So only download Onion Browser and this other app called Orbot. Just three apps are the toolkit to bypass censorship. Tor browser for Android is just to browse the web, so you can visit websites and bypass censorship. Onion browser is like Tor browser for Android, but it's for iOS. And then Orbot is both available for iOS and Android. The difference between Orbot and Tor browser for Android is that Orbot is going to route all your traffic, internet traffic, over the Tor network. That means if you have a Twitter app installed, if you have Facebook app, or Meta, or Instagram, it's going to route everything over the Tor network. That means, let's say the government blocked Instagram, Meta, WhatsApp, and other Telegram and other apps. You just need to install Orbot and turn on, and that's it. So you can bypass the censorship using your mobile phone using Orbot. And you can download Orbot from Google Play. And if you are using iOS, you can download from Apple Store. And how you can get help using Tor? So we have some Telegram channels. I recommend taking a picture of this screen because we have these channels, and you can see one important thing that we have the blue check. We didn't need to pay for using this blue check. So we have official channels on Telegram that you can contact us for support. Two bots are, two of these channels are bots, and one is a real person. So if you need help from a real person, contact us on Tor Project Support Bot. If you need help to get, if you need a bridge to bypass censorship, contact the Tor Bridge Bot. And if you need to download Tor browser, contact Get Tor Bot, okay? And we also have just websites explaining more how to use Tor. It's translated in multiple languages. We also have the Tor forum that you can get help from us, the support portal. And we also have Signal and WhatsApp support. I also recommend taking a picture of the Signal and WhatsApp support bot support channels, so you can get in touch with us. So basically, what is Tor? Tor is a way to bypass censorship, is also a browser, is also an app that you can install on your phone. Tor means a lot of things, but basically is a way to connect to the internet with privacy, anonymity, and without censorship. So it's a very cool project, and I hope you can download, install, and give feedback to us if it doesn't work. Or if it does work, tell us about that too. We are very interested on hearing from you. And this is how you can contact me. And thanks, Sage, for inviting me. And I'm open for questions and everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gus. And also Elisaveta and Gus will stay here for the questions during the QA session at the end of this event. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. And with both Uni Probe app and Tor, as well as Tor browsers introduced, let's move to the other ways for circumventing or alternatives when you are facing internet disruptions. And please allow me to start my presentation. Can someone let me know if you can see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So basically, as you've already heard about the Uni probe app to test internet connections or specific traffic to certain websites or platforms, as well as like how to use Tor to circumvent censorship or get back online to visit content while you're facing internet disruptions. You must wonder like what type of disruptions that you may be facing and how to diagnose that. So we will start with that. 3 simple steps to respond to any type of internet disruptions. Again, like this may not be a huge comprehensive presentations of all kinds of disruptions, and the nature of how internet or networks work is very complicated. So I will try to stay as basic and also comprehensive as possible. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask during this session and afterwards. So 3 simple steps. One is learn about different types of network disruptions or internet shutdowns and possible mitigations or what tools you can use in those different types of disruptions. Action 2 is to set up secure communications with your contacts, which I think Gus also mentioned earlier. And action 3 is task for ongoing internet shutdowns. This is where Uni probe app is very useful. So the different types of internet disruptions, there are generally like we categorize them as 6 basic types. So you may have complete internet shutdown situations, or you may face like a partially shutdowns, or as we say, throttling, or DNS blocking, or deep packet inspection, some of the technical terms to call it, or you can face like a website blocking. So those are different type of censorship. So if you couldn't see any website and there's no signal on your phone or on your computer, Wi-Fi or bandwidth connection, you couldn't find any network, this is a clear sign of a full internet shutdown or full blackout. In this type of shutdowns, it is very hard to mitigate. In rare circumstances, like a roaming SIM card from adjacent countries may help. Using like a foreign SIM cards may help. Or like using, satellite phone calls, but those are very expensive options. Several like a free alternative is to use peer-to-peer mesh network apps like Briar or Bridgify, or devices like Gotana. I'm going to go through quickly how to download and use Briar later. Sometimes you may see website and apps loading very sluggish, like everything becomes very slow, especially when you stream like certain services or certain platforms. For instance, like YouTube or other streaming services, it's really, really slow. Or like it's impossible to connect to your Twitter or Facebook app, while the other website may act the same or normal. That's probably because of throttling, because there can be intentional throttling traffic of specific services, platforms, websites, while keeping others acting the same. Or there could be specific throttling of specific networks, such as like if you have both bandwidth, broadband network and mobile cellular data, chances are that your mobile cellular data may not work while your broadband works. So that's a specific type of throttling networks. In this case, if it's just a throttling a specific service or websites, then use VPNs and other like anti-censorship tools may work. Also, it's also seems like throttling a specific service or platform or website, which is again, like when you visit a certain website or when you visit a certain platform, you may experience extremely slow, or you are unable to connect to that certain service or platform. This could also be because of DNS blocking, or it's called DNS poisoning. But the matter is, in this case, when you see like it's very slow or impossible to connect to a certain service or platform, you can also use VPN or other anti-censorship tools like Tor to connect or visit that specific content. In also cases like you can also use trusted DNS server, but that is also very hard, and it highly depends on the local network connections. Another part of like censorship is a certain version of the website is not visitable, especially like for instance, if you can visit the HTTP URL, but not the HTTPS URL. This is because of network filtering. And this case often happens when the surveillance is in place, so that you cannot visit any web content in encrypted ways and your traffic is under surveillance. In this case, a reliable VPN or anti-censorship tools is also available. And if you have the opportunity or chance to switch to another internet service providers, for instance, if you have different carriers, you can switch to another carrier to see if you can bypass this kind of censorship. And again, like specific parts of particular app or service or website. For instance, you can see the homepage of a certain website, but you cannot see, like when you try to log in and you cannot log in, or you try to visit a specific URL of that website, you cannot see it. This could also be because of deep packet inspection, which we call DPI. And in this case, also like using VPN Tor browser or switching to a different internet service provider may help you. And then the last one is a very specific type. This is not happening to the visitor site. This is happening to the content site. Like if a website or specific app is experiencing the denial of service attack, that's when, for instance, like a Google, if you cannot visit Google, it could be because Google's server is attacked using the denial of service attack to overwhelm the Google server. So the entire server for Google is down and you cannot visit Google. In this case, because Google has a lot of servers around the world, if you switch to another country IP using a VPN or like an anti-censorship tools, you can possibly get back online and see the website. So these are the main 6 different types of network disruptions. And hopefully like these symptoms can help you diagnose the situation and use different mitigations. And also making sure that VPN, there are a lot of VPNs and anti-censorship tools, and a lot of them are commercial tools. So there are definitely like a reliable and secure VPN tools, but there are also like a lot of malicious VPN tools that used to like phishing your data and your information, and possibly it's gonna you're gonna experience phishing attack. So let's definitely stick to the reliable tools like a Tor browser, and I'm also gonna introduce 3 other alternatives. Siphon is a anti-censorship tool. Tunnel Bear is a VPN tool that offers free 10 gigabytes of data for people in Sierra Leone during the elections, and also Proton VPN. Sorry, there's a mistake on the slide. Tunnel Bear is free 10 gigabytes data for people in Sierra Leone. And Proton VPN is you have a free limited account, which means you cannot choose your IP, and you have, I think, a free 2 to 3 gigabytes every month. So these are how to download them and how to use them, and make sure that because there are a lot of mirror websites on the internet for these tools, make sure that you definitely check the URL, and the URL is exactly the same as the URL here. And how to download Siphon. Siphon is a free tool that you can use to bypass censorship. And there are different versions of Siphon. So you can use Siphon on Android, on iOS, on Mac OS, on Windows, and on Linux. Again, the download page has specified all the different ways of downloading Siphon. And these are all the official channels. So make sure that you're following these specific URLs, or if you can directly email them, or you can use their Amazon's server, or tell a friend. They also have a Telegram bots as well. And as you can see, there are different ways to download Siphon. You can even scan the QR code to download. And Siphon is a very useful tool to bypass DPI filtering, especially. And this is a traffic inspection of 2020 elections in New Guinea. And you can see the traffic, the pattern of the traffic suggests strongly that there is a sign of deep packet inspection filtering being used in the country's internet traffic. And this is the Siphon user traffic during that period in New Guinea. Sorry, I'm so sorry for Guinea. And also there is a Siphon monitoring of the web server traffic as well, that you can visit to check the internet connections in different countries. And also making sure that you use Siphon that is protecting you from malwares, so it blocks traffics that are suspicious. And also Android users can receive a security alert. For Tunnel Bear, there's a specific steps to download Tunnel Bear, and also making sure when you are visiting it in the Android store or iOS store, you specifically check the provider should be Tunnel Bear LLC. That is the official tool. Otherwise, you may also experience like impersonations or like a malicious tools. And it's also easy to set up and get the free data, which is to use your email and create a password to start an account, and using the email to verify your account. And because your IP is automatically from Sierra Leone, so you will receive a push notification that you can have free 10 gigabytes of data every month in Sierra Leone during the elections. And if you have any questions, you can directly email support@tunnelbear.com. And action 2 is to right now, like, set up secure communication method with your contacts and stay connected. As Gus said before, Signal and Wire and Telegram, that can all be used. They're all either full or partially end-to-end encrypted. Signal requires you to have a phone number. Wire and Telegram doesn't require you to have a phone number. And if you want to also connect with your contacts offline, you can set up Briar. And Briar is a peer-to-peer connection to direct messaging tool. And currently you can download, unfortunately, it's only for Android user at the moment. And you can download this app using 3 ways to connect: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and you also Tor network. When you're online, you can choose to connect with your contact online. But if you're okay, thank you. I'm actually at the time. So you can also connect with your contact offline using Bluetooth connections, which is about 10 meters long. But if you connect with more people on Briar in the same city, it also helps you to stay connected with people from further. And also you can use Wi-Fi to connect with them, even though there may not be internet access at the time. So strongly suggesting that you start downloading and testing out all of these alternatives if, for instance, WhatsApp is not working. And also action 3 is using Uni Explorer, Uni Probe app, or other download the monitor that Saigon provided, or other monitoring or measuring tools to monitor the internet traffic. One is internet outage and detection analysis, and the Google's traffic and disruption tracker as well. And these are some useful resources. EFF has a surveillance self-defense guide, which is currently mostly writing in the context of the United States, but also useful as certain chapters talks about network disruptions. And I'm listing here that's all of you can, I suggest you to take a picture now or get the PDF later. Access Now also provides certain guides. For instance, anti-doxing guide, because network disruptions create an environment where it's easier for you to experience online attack. So especially like a doxing, disinformation, surveillance, all of these kind of attacks. Anti-doxing guide by Access Now, and circumvention and anonymity tool online, and also safe travel guide. Acknowledging that these guides may be outdated, and we are currently in the steps of updating them. And finally, last but not least, Security Planner has a very easy to use steps to help you set up the plan for securing all of your devices and data. So Digital First Aid Kit has different scenarios to help you defend and protect yourself. And also, if you want to check if a website is down for everyone or just for you, you can go to download down for everyone or justme.com. Thanks a lot. That's all my presentation. Felicia, hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sage, Elizabeth, and Gaz, for the very detailed yet understandable presentation. Okay, we are going to take some questions. So his question is regarding the mitigation for complete blackouts. If you can share any examples or how to get the forensic card, right? And then the second part is
Case where you can get the foreign SIM card, what's up?
the forensic card.
No, the other option, yeah, only.
Oh, the BRA.
Right.
It's BRA only for Android phones.
Yes, unfortunately, Briar currently only allows Android. systems.
Okay, regarding the roaming SIM cards, we've seen that being used in Sudan in 2019 when the internet was shut down. So they got SIM cards from I think Saudi Arabia and other neighboring countries that they were using. And so it depends on what would work here, and every situation is also different. And even with that, the military in Sudan at the time started targeting those that were using the foreign SIM cards. And so if they see traffic going out of the country, then you are at risk. And so you have to remove it and throw it away. Otherwise, you don't want to be picked by the military. So there are also risks with regards to using foreign SIM cards. Okay, say, did you want to come back to the Briar? Does Bridgify or just Android?
Yes, thank you. As Felicia said, like there's certain ways of getting foreign SIM card. However, acknowledging that foreign SIM card is also taking extra privilege or other conditions to get. So it's not always very easy to get foreign SIM card. And there's also chances that they may not work. I think like our helpline can also connect with, in very rare cases, that foreign SIM card can be deployed through the local network. Or maybe if you need extra assistance, like contact our helpline as well. But at the same time, like free alternatives would be download Briar and Bridgify. So both Briar and Bridgify are mentioned in my presentation just now. I showcase like how to download Briar, and that is only working for Android at the moment. But Bridgify actually works for iOS as well. And Bridgify's official URL domain is bridgify.me. Is BRIDGEFY.me. And it's a pretty simple download and use, and it has a pretty good instructions to start. Thanks, Felicia. And also the person who asked the questions. Sorry, I couldn't see you.
Yeah, and we can entertain 3 more questions because we have 5 minutes more, and then so we can try to wrap up with speed on our current situation.
Yes, I got the question.
Okay.
So yeah, just repeating for Sage and Gus, what are security implications of using the tools that you were mentioning during our presentations? I can start from Uni and then we'll give you a stage. So with Uni, when you are running Uni probe tests, the main risk that you're handling is that your internet service provider will see that you're trying to access different websites. In general, if there is no local legislation prohibiting you from accessing different websites, it doesn't bring a lot of risks for you. For some countries, like for example, for Afghanistan, we would disable separate categories of websites from testing. For example, we wouldn't make users test pornography websites or gambling websites in Afghanistan because it brings them very physical risks for them. At the same time, if you feel not comfortable with testing full list of websites, the test lists that I mentioned, they consist of 30 categories, and you can disable the categories that you are not comfortable with, leaving only, for example, social networking tools, or only human rights organizations, or only media organizations. And that would, on the one hand, give you an opportunity to test these categories that you choose to test more often. And on the other hand, the application won't test the categories and types of websites that you are not comfortable with testing. Otherwise, we haven't seen in any country any Uniprobe users oppressed or targeted because of testing local connection. So I think that there is not much risk around that. We have a separate document which can help you to assess your risks related to Uniprobe. You can find it on our website. It's called risk assessment. Yeah, but in general, there are not so many risks, but it's good to keep in mind that the provider will see that you are trying to access this website. And if you are, for example, an activist or journalist who is already under surveillance, and you think that the government is following you for some reason, then probably it's not the best decision to run a lot of tests and to try, thank you, Sage, to try to access hundreds of websites per day, because it's like maybe something that a provider can mention if they follow your traffic closely. Otherwise, if you are not a high-profile activist, in most of the countries, it's pretty safe to run Uni. Gus, maybe you can tell us about Tor and Sage about other tools.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the context, you know, and who you are and what you are trying to do. There are cases of law enforcement persecuting people using VPNs or Tor or other anti-censorship tools. It really depends on the context and who you are. Many people are currently using all these tools in your country, and I'm not aware about any kind of case against them. But the things change a little bit when you are a blogger, or you are doing social media, or you are a human rights defender publicly pushing back against some actions of the government. Then my recommendation would be using Tor with a bridge. It means that the government cannot see that you are using Tor. This is one of the benefits of using a Tor bridge that we were talking before, because it obfuscates that you are using Tor. I didn't include on the presentation, but this is a technique that you have not only in Tor, but also in some VPNs, that you can hide the fact that you are using just tools. And then the only way for the government or the law enforcement in your country to discover that you are using just tools is if they get your phone, or if they get your computer, like if they get all your device, and then they can see the app that you have installed. I think this is the only way to the most risk part of using this app is when you go to the street during a protest, and you have your phone. And then my recommendation would be to use other operational security measures, like instead of using facial recognition to unlock your phone, you could use a passphrase during the protest. So I think that would mitigate this issue of the government getting your device and unlocking and seeing what app you are using. But other than that, using Tor or with a bridge will fix this problem of the government discovering who is using Tor in your country. Sage?
Thank you, Gus. Exactly as Gus and Elizabeth said, I just want to add quickly add a few things. One is that two challenges. One is a connection challenge. The other is security challenge. And usually it's mostly connection challenge. we just tested before this training that Tor, Uniprobe, Siphon, Tunnel Bear, and Proton VPN are all available and in app stores in Sierra Leone. Thanks to Abdul. Thank you very much. So like it's available and it's downloadable that you can start downloading it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to check the Briar and Bridgify in the local app stores. So I highly recommend that you check now, and also make sure that you download the app directly from Bridgify and the Briar to official developers. Make sure that you're not downloading a fake or impersonating tool. And also, as I just want to repeat that the two URLs that you can visit for UNI risk test, risk assessment is uni.org/about/risks. And for getting Tor bridges, you can visit bridges.torproject.org. And these are also this will also be available after the training. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have one last question before we leave? Very brief. One? No. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Say, can you hear me?
can hear you.
Hello? Sage? Okay, and we have come to a successful end of this session. And thanks for those brilliant and useful presentations. And I hope the human rights defenders and journalists in this room, we use it in the right way, and also we train members of their team. And so the training will go a long way. And may I also pledge our sincere thanks to all participants, because as we speak, there is currently riots and protests, in this city and very close to this training center. And for these people to come out shows a lot of commitment to the work they do and to the organizations that invited them. So with that, we want to, on behalf and access now, we want to pledge our sincere thanks and our radio chapter. We have the Human Rights Defenders Network radio chapter, Media Matter, Market Women, Rise Radio, AY, an umbrella network of women's organizations in Sierra Leone. So we also have media institutions that will be covering this story and play it on the national news. So those who are not here, we also glad for we have discussed there. So at this end, thanks to three of you guys online, and thanks to our participants. For the participants on ground, the logistics, transportation, you can move there, and then your lunch is ready.